Attention! Immediately stop and pause this video and read the following disclaimer. If you are visually impaired, then have a trustworthy individual read the disclaimer for you. You must read the entire disclaimer, otherwise you automatically stipulate to being bound by the terms of the following disclaimer.
Hello. First, this is the fourth video in my the System Unmasked video series. Now I'm going to start to cover topics that maybe get more interesting here. First off, let me say though that in order to view this video, you must read the disclaimer. Agree and read the disclaimer. I'm going to start a little bit off about religion, but I want to add that my prepared speech here is that a lot of people think they're a player in the religious. Excuse me here for a second. A lot of people think they're a player in the religious game when they really aren't. Nobody is. It's way beyond human capabilities. Maybe forever. We don't know. So. Get that out of the way, and so let me start here. So if I knew how religion worked, I would be making this presentation, but I would be in Stockholm, Sweden, accepting my Nobel Prize. So I don't like people start thinking of like I'm some kind of religious aficionado. I just interpret the facts and everything. That's all, Maybe nobody ever figure out religion. It might be something that's, we all reach a point, like in sports, where you get to a point where you plateau and that's the end of it. So we don't know, whether mankind could reach that level or not. There are many that make anything of a religious nature to be the work of a lunatic. One should wonder about devout religious people. Do they really believe what they are saying or doing about religion? That is, it is doubtful they do believe, as many people's actions don't usually add up to something that proclaims to be that pious. Their actions are not that pious. Well, if you look at them in totality. So anyway, the gist of this section is, to me, there is some sort of force that is non-observable or measurable in any way, but it does have an input effect on me and any other person. This force is usually called God when it's a positive force, and the devil when it is called the negative force. It's not like some kind of fiery whirlwinds or mystical visions, but it's sometimes it is something that is felt by people, sort of like some kind of induced feeling or thought, not actually a thought, but more of something that induces a aha moment, a premonition. In fact, there's even a movie about premonition that explains it kind of right there. So what it is kind of like, and that is usually it's usually of a subtle nature. The Bible has throughout a plethora of God-induced moments, example, visions and feelings. However, modern man extremely downplays that any of these type things happen in modern society, except maybe for the occasional person on the news that has a premonition. Example, felt dread right when the person far away died. You heard that a lot before, or is a clairvoyant or other not often reported thing. It seems God has been declared dead by its offspring. That brings me to a point. There's a wonderful movie. It's called God Is Not Dead, and it's become one of my in the top 10 movies I've ever seen. And it's I would say everybody has to go see that movie. It's just fantastic. There's kind of like some of these like religious things, they get all, gay and all things like that. I mean, sometimes that really turns me off and it makes it look kind of phony. And this takes that same kind of scenario. However, the people acting in did such a wonderful job that it was so believable and everything. It was really great. It wasn't, probably some people would still take it as being like all that gay and fake. Fake is more, more gay, like, fake stuff. But it was just done wonderfully, and I don't know what kind of era won any awards or anything, but in my book it was just a superbly acted movie all the way around, and it's a must-see movie. It's basically about a professor who makes this philosophy student have to prove that God is not dead, and in order to get otherwise you're gonna fail him. It's like, one of these liberal teachers or whatever. So whatever we stereotypical liberal teachers that we see and hear about all the time. You have to see that one. Anyway, it seems, since top scientists don't know how it works, that is God or whatever, some kind of force, then how the F would I know? I'm only reporting on my personal experience that God in a relationship, God is only, only some kind of feeling that helps guide one in life when the shit hits the fan. That is, there's nothing more to it as far as my life is concerned. Other people are very tight-lipped about things like this, and I guess so am I, as there's so much stigma about this subject, which, upon discussing, usually leads to an argument or bitter feelings, as other people are so entrenched in their vision that they are on the stairway to heaven, even buying the stairway to heaven, like that song goes. Thus, besides personal experience, I only have the Bible or television evangelists to rely on for tidbits of info. So anyone that is getting overworked by what I am saying, guess what? I don't know either about what the force is behind religion, but to me, it is real and something that is now part of me, and is what allows God's people to survive the hostilities of our world. And probably like I'm the low guy that probably the people ought to understand a lot more. They just don't say nothing to it. You have to glean all this stuff from their behavior because people don't usually say they don't want to become a retard, like accused of being a retard. And me neither. Really, I cringe at kind of making these videos because I know it leads to nothing. And then you probably got somebody over here me making them and it's be running around saying that I'm some kind of mental retard or something. And, somebody's got to do it, though. So, somebody's got to pick up the slack here. So, people probably know more than I do. And scientists are still, like, a lot of these things that happen on atomic levels are bizarre. Just plain bizarre. So, the whole thing is still open to, debate, but the one thing there is some kind of intelligence behind it. Sometimes you could think that it has something to do with people's actions, or is it something beyond people? I would say something beyond people. That would be my estimation of the theory. So moving on to the next topic here. When do I get to spill the beans? It's when society lets me do so. When the movement is over, and a brave new world means it makes no difference. Things have gotten so desperate. That's right now. This AI, what I do is meaningless because they're just going to come in with this AI crap, and they got that going, and now I'm just like, this God theory is like being thrown out the window. Unfortunately, that isn't the way the universe works. It doesn't seem like it from all the evidence compiled. So you can spout all you want about AI, but you know, in the end run, you didn't pass God's test. This is all a test, you know. You know, are you going to pimp your grandmother out in a corner and let her die or something? Or are you going to help her and protect her or whatever? You know, another thing is like, if you're in the Army, you wouldn't, the Army wouldn't put you out there and say, oh, okay, first week of training, goodbye. We're going to put an AI robot next to you so you can, you know, you could do it that way. I mean, you know, you didn't pass the test. If you put it that way with the Army or some other thing, organization, you go, oh my God, that person didn't do this or didn't do that. But when it comes to God, it's always this unbelievable thing that, you know, no one wants to do anything. And God created us, you know, ultimately. So it's just ridiculous. Like your parents, you know, they helped create you, you know. So, I mean, you wouldn't just dismiss them usually, you know, unless they, you know, are dumbasses or something, you know, maybe in that case it's valid, you know. But anyway, that's the story in a nutshell. Is about my oratory writing career. The world only allows me to spill the beans when it does not matter anymore, or it is a desperate situation. Example, the U.S. is losing power right now, because that's what could be happening. There's a phase shift. I say always allows me to, only because if one does does spouting off of the mouth at the wrong time or the wrong place, then consequences could easily happen. The world is all connected these days, so it is so easy to stop a person from doing any good, which is why many do not even try. For example, a person spouts off, and the next day their vehicle is stolen, and if they do enough, they may get blacklisted. Indeed, some people have been actually laughed out of their own country. In ancient times, exile was a common practice, and probably not telling anybody anything new, but maybe I am. Galileo, one of the most brilliant scientific minds, was under house arrest for much of his life, and he died while in this state of moderately harsh slavery. I was going to get these video presentations out much earlier, but it turned out that this endeavor was not so easy, and other obstacles were in the way. I have not been following this crazy system with its crazy unwritten rules, but it's just that that is the way things turned out. Yeah, I would have just cranked out a long time ago, but you know, I'm dealing with all kinds of stuff, putting all this crap together. Man, I'll tell you, these people put these videos. This is an amateur event here. You know, I got my ghetto board. That's my ghetto board back there. I put that together. I didn't want to spend a lot of time and money on this because, you know, it's probably another ill-fated adventure. Well, I mean, even with AI and all these things, it is an ill-fated adventure because the movement is over. Well, this is the devil working, you know, the movement is over already, so explaining all this crap is kind of meaningless when AI is going to take over your life, you know. Right, it should be done way before that, and then people have always been putting roadblocks in my way, so I can't do anything like that. So, hey, if you're, don't get mad at me that your life is all messed up because people like me didn't do anything. You know, we tried, but, you know, there was roadblocks in the way of people that are not religious. Or religious people that, you know what, they're a big stiflement too. Because just like Jesus, when the Pharisees wanted to kill him, they don't want to lose their position. They're just maybe even worse sometimes, you know. So that's what's happened here. So, and I don't in this this crazy unwritten rules allow you to do certain things at certain times, and I would have done it ahead of time. I was going to do way ahead of time before Trump. This whole Trump thing, and I kind of got, you know, watching that. It was so entertaining. Trump makes things very entertaining, but I'm not sure about the safety factor, how how much safety he provides for us Americans in the process. But and I thought like maybe I'd get this out even further, but you got to do so many things. Introductions. You got to kind of have a script almost, and I'm not even doing this. Like I said, my back is always throbbing, and it doesn't really come out perfect. So, this is not a part of the video. It's just the content is good. So, getting back on track, this system is much too unresponsive when it comes to solving problems in a valid manner. And it is due to this narrow window to disseminate information that is responsible for this. And this perpetuates mankind's woes. We're going out trying to go out in space and other thing. We're doing all these things and creating such a, minefield of problems that, nothing's ever going to get really solved, That's the sad thing, because, suppressing people that could do some good helps cause that. And Jesus' successor has returned, and using this narrow window technique of suppressing information or whatever, it is bastardized and stifled him and his little message to the world. And that's that. It's sad but true. So this next topic here is hey BH. You've had your 60 years of dominance, and it is my time, whatever little time there is left of it now. And you know what? Even all these things converging, we're in jeopardy of like being deep sixed again here, because we'll go on and on with this. We'll get so far, and then I'm moving every so often, like I'm moving around the country, force moving. Like you could stay at certain places, but it becomes hazardous. It's the whole place gets realigned. All these businesses go realigning all the time. Causes a different group of people and a new set of problems that could be dangerous. So in my life, many have been living like kings and queens, while I and others like me have been slugging it out over heavy terrain, getting a little help in the process. This trend never lets up and always gets worse. And we're right there right now. Unbelievable. A no-brainer setup, and with this Trump thing has turned the whole thing, and turned the whole thing around, and now they're getting back to their old ways after Trump's out here being a bitch. It's the left wing is trying to suppress this messenger. So they're the ones doing this, like the stimulus, It was going to be $1,200, and now what is Mitch McConnell wants $600 or something like that, So this stiflement is just right on cue, like it usually is. So instead of being everything good now, like I'm on the bubble again, and other people too, maybe. Yeah, they had something about some lady in Missouri. The landlord took off her doors off the hinges and kicked her out or something because she was sick with COVID and couldn't pay the rent. Some crazy crap like that. It's sometimes you even doubt whether it's worth the below expending the air to talk and try to help with that kind of stuff going on. So the new Trump 2020 election situations demonstrates this perfectly, as we have now gone from America the free to one where Trump is trying to create a dictatorship. Well, that probably is about over. I think it's a bunch of baloney. They just let Trump was going to do that to mess everything up because they don't want the messenger coming back and getting a positive foothold. It's caused all kinds of trouble is what it really was. So it's a plan. It's not a conspiracy theory. You've got to replace the word conspiracy theory with plan. Because you notice it. Oh, Trump's going to create a dictatorship, and then Trump has got all these lawsuits, and then Trump a little bit, and then you don't see Trump, and a little smaller until he's not even on there anymore. It was all a plan, really. It's a plan of religious destruction is what it is. Because he talks about God and Jesus or something. He's maybe one step above the devil with all the shit he does, They're really so one could see that the trend perfectly clear, a trend that started with the Reagan removing the labor union buffer that the USA once had, and on the road to dictatorship it goes. I mean, that is, I'm not advocating for the unions, because a lot of these things raise our prices up so high, that they're bastards in themselves. But I mean, at least it provided a buffer from these, people, these monopolies getting a hold of everything either. So, I mean, it's like one of the balance of powers, I mean, a union is a great thing, really great thing if it's something positive, but it doesn't usually work out. You got people that don't work at all, and others slaving away, and they're making money, and they're skimming money off the funds. And I don't think we have to explain the Jimmy Hoffa story to you. So, if people want to survive this mess we call the world, I strongly suggest that the reins of society be given to me instead of some of the clowns and jokers that have the reins today. And me is not Trump or anyone else, and not Biden, nor is that is me and me alone, and not a bunch of others trying to inject themselves into my story. Using force or cause dependencies and bastardizing my program or messages. So anyway, I'll let maybe come out a little garbled here, but my program is light years ahead of what leaders are doing. But since mankind cannot do anything without botching it up, then change must be done slowly. It's the only way to avoid hardship and eternal punishment. I have heard and been the victim of many screwy ideas, policies, and implementations of these screwy policies my whole life, and it is time for change. And everybody else could say ditto to this same thing. I'm not really saying that thing, but this is really important about this doing things slowly now, because people have made such a mess, or allowed these organizations and things to make such a mess, that if you don't do it slowly, it's probably going to wind up like look at this election was like almost a revolution or something, It's just, again, I get back to one thing I mentioned before. It's like oil. If you would go on a slow, steady thing, people with their cars with gas can still drive them and slowly make electricity, very inexpensive. And slowly replace them, and that way you're not harming people, like poor people that got gasoline cars, and then you could avoid climate change. But that's a win-win, and that this society is always lose-lose, So the way they solve problems, and they do it too fast. When you do it too fast, and you're not prepared to do it fast, that's an intentional way to mess things up. So really they're responsible for messing things up, because that's on purpose. If you rush somebody and they screw it all up, well, then you made them mess up. I mean, yeah, you're kind of responsible, especially when you're in a position of authority. You are responsible for their actions. So that about ends that there. All right, this other topic here. Next one is TRAPISM, jury duty, left-wing smothering, the messengers, or our current situation and its danger. That's what the situation is. This set of video presentations centers around the idea that Jesus' successor is alive at this time. This is a bipartisan effort to criticize both left, right, and any mix of these parties, especially in the USA. it's not done to be bashing them on purpose. It's done to try to correct problems, And this happens time and time again. You mention them and you criticize them, and then all of them are against you without any rhyme. There's no rhyme or reason. They're not gonna, say you're trying to correct the problem. And this goes on all the time. And it gets back to this theory where people think they're a big winner because you got a big attitude. Because when you get treated like that, then you got to get a big attitude, and then it perpetuates a big attitude. Where people can't admit their mistakes. And, in the USA, this has been going on all the time. I've noticed it from a little kid and everything. So, constructive criticism needs to be, it almost should be a law or something. You just can't keep going on with these goofy ideas and keep promoting them like it happens. I mean, it actually gets worse and worse all the time. Worse and worse. They don't go backwards, they actually go forwards with the goofy ideas. So anyway, this is especially a problem in the USA, and why the USA? Am I picking on the little baby? No. It is firstly that one must shore up their own country before trying to criticize or change other countries' behavior. This critique is no way playing partisanship to other countries either. That principle should be crystal clear from the Bible. Take the log out of your own eye before you try to take the speck of sawdust out of someone else's eye. I mean, the Bible comes through with some great sayings, and that's true. That's a paraphrase on Jesus' words. These criticisms are only for the purpose of helping to prove things, but the world uses constructive criticism from the messenger. But the principle is totally general, as wait a minute here, hold on a second. But the world uses constructive criticism from the messenger to have tantrums and tirades over it, which creates physical violence and ramifications. That's where you get all this violence stuff. Part of it, people having a crybaby attack over it, that they're not in control of the world. The constructive criticism being used is this is like a perfect used against people as a perfect principle, is totally general, as the average do-gooder has to deal with the same problem having the words turned against them. So it's not just a messenger, it's everybody has to deal with this problem. That's why the messenger's message never gets out there without bastardization. There's things like the Garlic Festival shooting in Gilroy, California. I think it's Gilroy. And governmental moronic policies, corporate domination are perfect examples of things that are done to undermine the messenger, his message, and anyone around him, no matter how dumbass they might be. Trying to help him, around his message, anyone around him, trying to help him, and therefore, and this is important, any other person on a total pole of life. So actually what I'm trying to say, I know that kind of got gobbled around a little bit, though, that's why I don't like to make these videos and everything, from the standpoint that this is constantly going on now with this technological society. You open your mouth, all the people around you start pressuring this, and then they get mad at you and start, trying to make you out look like a mental retard and all this other stuff, or try to do something. So, that's sad, but that's the way it is. It's a team effort. It's not like, and even in years past, it was the same thing, only you could get away with a lot more. So, but you could also get probably violently beaten up too. So that was another possibility. Nobody was going to do nothing about that either. So anyway, secondly, people's response to religious influence and the nature of the universe is, in general, a way off, distorted version of reality. Now onward. This left-wing trapism or smothering routine is very annoying, as strong-arm tactics are used to trap certain people. Most importantly, applies to the messenger, but others affected too, into living in the same muck even when they can't stand it. In fact, we're going through this, all these things are converging on myself right now. And I think a lot of people, COVID-19 ID, or 19, these, potential that you could get that and not be able to pay your stuff, and it's like a real convergence point, and this Trump election thing has helped really fan the flames of that. So using authorities, organizations, or other morons in society to artificially create imaginary events to ensnare a person. That's why so many people hate left-wing parties, as this overbearing nature not only is against the Constitution, but is plain old annoying when someone else is playing God. When their ideas of God, how God should be, stink. For example, a person does not do drugs, yet is surrounded by a bunch of drug-pushing addicts. So these addicts from day one create false narratives by making up stories. Suppose the target person one day is returning home with groceries and a bag of sugar falls out of their grocery bag. So then one of the druggies or dummies, whichever you want to call them, sees this and tells the police in an effort to divert suspicion away from their own illegal activities. Then one thing leads to another, and now the innocent person with no record is on the bubble for every little thing they do. I can tell by paying attention to the current events that we're on a California left-wing Trapism spree, as the Trumpster would have never gotten elected without some reason. Yeah, that's why Hillary never got elected, because she was going to do that, smothering crap, left-wing crap, and it had something to do with the messenger. It's screwing that up. It's all part of this. California and the West is going to become a pipeline for drugs, with Mexico being the key player, versus the raging alcoholic routine of the eastern part of the country. This is not these schemes are not etched in stone, as there are drugs and alcohol in both parts of the country, but this is only a generalized trend, and this is done to endanger the messenger's return and to create pandemonium, chaos, and harm. Mass killings have gone off the charts, and need I say more to prove my point for myself that this Trapism gets quite annoying. Wait a minute, hold on a second here. Yeah, it's create pain and harm. Mass killings have gone off the charts. Need I say more to prove my points for myself? This Trapism gets quite annoying, as areas get to the point where moving from them is a joy, as people don't just get annoying, but go out of their way to do annoying things. Off the books on records, which leads to the fallacy that they are getting away with something, but God has every little tweak logged in for later recollection and punishment purposes. So they do these annoying things since they know that justice seekers like myself are in a very precarious situation, and this is no matter what their justice seeker, social status hierarchy is. Whatever the joke, it's no matter what the justice seeker, what their social status or hierarchy is, they don't care. They can do the same crap no matter what. So, and judging from the way things are, this successor of Jesus must have some sort of institutional record, example prison. And it is important to keep a lid on this. Only applies to a messenger from God and not everyone else, as their matters must be judged accordingly. Because once people know someone has some type of institutional record, then they will use this at every twist and turn to try to deny him or her the right to defend himself or herself, or make any input he has or she has as the work of some crazy person. Look at yourselves in the mirror once, and you'll see who the crazy person really is, whoever these people are. And this taking the successor of Jesus as hostage is how things got effed up, and why organizations and individuals are running amok. And when they don't get their little way, they chip off another piece of the messenger's protection. And mine, may I say the same thing, is that happens to be constantly getting chipped off my protection. It just little by little it happens all the time. So that's the crux of all these problems. Stop this and the system will cure itself. So the point is that things like jury duty and all other things to where one must disclose the truth become a danger to Jesus' successor, and thus yourselves as your whole future depends on him. That's why the government and organizations have become so Nazi-like, wanting to know more and more info about people, which thusly becomes a danger to our freedoms, as they have so much info on little guy or gal that they are choking on the vast streams of data of overkill, that is. And besides this, organizations already know who did something really bad, and to boot are using religious powers to do it. So they're not only using their computers and everything, they're also using religion at the same time. So it's like we're like totally muffled, Why do you think the Nazis were able to get away with all that? They knew who was doing what. So that's where that comes from. And I can hear the vibes already. Some dumbass is going to say, "Oh no, organizations would never do that." Wrong. Because that is how they got to be vast organizations in the first place, by ignoring child rapists and other monsters. So that layer after layer of job offering is created, and then by about the monster's 50th victim, then, oh my gosh, we caught the monster. Hey, who is the bigger monster, the individual monster or the organizational monsters? The new Joseph D'Angelo capture in California is a perfect, pristine example of how there is no way, let me repeat that, there's no way someone could kill with such a deed without people looking the other way. As God's vibes would have alerted people, not just before D'Angelo killed and raped someone, before he blew his first fart. It is infuriating when, say, an imaginary example, I go barbecue in a park a little after closing time, only have a SWAT team show up, only to tell me I'm doing something very illegal. That is, 1 minute after the park's closing time, I'm in the park. And while in the meantime, D'Angelo is out raping and murdering a new crop of victims, that my friend is called a tactic of demoralization, and is why so many people are indifferent and out for themselves, as this scheme assuredly creates violent tendencies amongst people. Finally, the right-wing party, on the other hand, does the opposite, is they try to ride one out of town on a rail, instead of trapping them at forever in the left-wing cage. So ditto on the danger the right-wing or any other political party poses. That is the same crap, only twisted and turned a different way. Yeah, that is really annoying, that there's people out there gasing and Bundying and this D'Angeloing, and they know who it is. They just wait till it's really a broadcast information. Why don't they catch him on one victim? Because they want to wait until a certain set of circumstances that relays information. But like I said, we're getting to this AI thing. Probably all my discussion will not mean anything because you know what? It'll be all a moot point. Because there won't be any need for it anymore. And like I said before, AI has the potential to replace everything and everyone. The only thing is we go out and play volleyball or something. That'll be our life because all the rest of it will be all done for us. Really. So this left-wing trapism is very annoying. It's a very annoying phenomenon when they try to. That's how old jobs used to be. They used to, like a lot of these big cities had these jobs where you had hard to get out of because they want to keep you there, and they use underhanded tactics to do it. I mean, there's a point where you got to say, come on, I mean, it's like me, somebody did something, somebody wants to leave their job and I make up this big story, about them or something, and then they get in trouble or something, and in order to get out of this trouble, they're going to just stick around for another couple of years, their boss or something. Otherwise, you're going to get blacklisted or a bad reference or something. That's the kind of crap we're talking about. And it's smothering, and, coupled with the right wing's way of doing it, where they say, F you, you just eat crap and die, is the other extreme, so there's a lot to work on, So, the next topic, we're at the next topic here, there's another scheme going on, and this topic is the remove or get address, phone, internet info, and other information age schemes. Either they try to, remove information as part of the Nazi cover-up, kind of. And when I say Nazi cover-up, we're talking about every race here. It's like a Nazi thing. It happens in our country all the time. They're like erasing information from the internet. The purpose of it is the cover-up. It's really Nazism, no matter what race you're talking about. And the other one is they want to get your information, which also is like Nazi, like they want to, pigeonhole you to where you can't do anything. So it's so annoying. This happens over and over again. For example, I had a good cheap phone service for years, yet one day I turned my phone on and it is automatically disconnected due to the 3G, 4G transition. Not a text message was sent, but I was supposed to check the website on my own to get this information. Why do I check the website? I don't need to do that, So this is really a bogus scam, as if the phone can be geared down to 2G, like they do now. When your data runs down, then it could be geared to 3G. And thus, phone companies made people throw out their 3G perfectly good phones for nothing. Yeah, I had this great phone. It was a totally basic, and I loved it. It was like a cheap plan, and they just shut it off, and now I got this goofy phone, and it's more expensive, and it's not what I wanted. I just want the barest bones possible, And that was really, should have been illegal and gone to court, because you just can't be doing that. It doesn't make sense. Like I said, if you could gear somebody's thing down to 2G, then you could do 3G, and they should be able to keep their phone. It's gotten totally outlandish, these these technological things where they make a change like that, and the government does nothing. And Mr. Trump has done nothing. In fact, we've been regressing back, So, so again, let me say, this matter should have been taken to court before the disconnection took place, but never was. Why go to court over it? For one, it is economic discrimination. Two, it was unnecessary. 3, it was as easy as having a computer at the phone carrier automatically switch from 4G to 3G when needed. 4, it was a scheme to jack up people's phone rates by saying, oh, we had to raise the price due to all this faster service, which, is a bunch of baloney. And yet with faster service, they're basically doubling their advertising exposure. Something does not add up and is bothering Lieutenant Colombo on this one, as more advertiser exposure means the phone plan should cost almost nil. By now, it should cost about nil. It should be costing us, all these things should be costing us less and less. Recycling, you got so much recycled material now that it should be almost costing us nothing. As it keeps going on, it's like a geometric progression. You get more and more material, you got cheaper and cheaper prices. So, all right, let me get back to point 5 and almost importantly, it is a part of the Nazi cover-up process, which I mentioned before, whereby it allows organizations and individuals to erase themselves, as people claim what? What? I never had that phone number or personal information. A good plan if for good, but when it's for bad or evil, as most want to perpetuate this rotten policies of today, then it's not good. So hey, dude, do that. Sorry to break your bubble, but this is not possible, as God is the trump card above Trump and all other human beings, and God has these injustices logged in for the purposes of preventing wrongdoers from perpetuating themselves. This twit Nazism, whereby instead of destroying records physically, getting one's hands dirty, it is done at a throw of a switch. That's why so many phase shifts, organizations, and individuals moving all the time, and policies changing like a fart in the wind occur, and it heavily favors the wealthy, as it is no problem and has little consequences for them, where the poor and middle class person's lives are usually turned upside down. Non-building 7 at the World Trade Center type document destruction tactics are at work every day and should be examined for Nazi-like war crimes, as they are part of the process of invalidate our rights given to us by the Constitution of the United States. Now the other side of this coin is twit Nazism, like record racing, is this overbearing and tighter quest to get people's personal and other information. That, folks, is Nazi Germany all over again, run by twits this time. It happens all the time. Get an email account and plug in some bogus information in a quick and easy and free account. Later on, the same process requires more and more info and possibly another email address. Hey, if you had an email address, you probably wouldn't be signing up for one. The next time, and they require an email address, the next time they want a phone number, and the list of restrictions goes on. And the excuse for this process is based upon blaming criminals. But organizations sponsor these types of people so that they have an excuse to get to a Nazi Germany-like state. This is basically almost like a threat to freedom, because if you cut off anonymous emails and all these free services and stuff, you're cutting out a lot of the population that's probably not going to get it to do any good. They're not going to complain when something goes wrong because they won't have an email or something. So it's really it's basically like creating a bad world, because that's why Batman and the Green Hornet and these other wear these disguises, because in the background, if you don't have these people or that anonymous whatever that guy was, and people doing like that, things get out of control, where companies and stuff do whatever they want, and it's just bad practice, and the government should look into it, because it's a threat to our freedom, Yeah, so again, what I got written here is the same thing. This becomes a danger to people's freedom as it gets to the point where there is no anonymity. And if no one has any anonymity, then no one is going to try to stop organizational and individual wrongdoing. I mean, what do? Turn yourself in? These undercover police and SWAT teams sometimes wear a face mask. If the average person is suspected to take on that as Harry Carey, like the Japs used to fall on their swords, take on mega organizations while broadcasting their whole life story while being constantly watched. I mean, isn't that funny? This policy has basically killed this world as people who know the criminals are, and so having every little scrap of information known is way overkill. In a plot to have organizational Nazism and overthrow the Constitution and personal freedoms, not to mention interfering with grave religious matters. That's important. That's the whole, that's the bottom line gist of it all. Getting back to the first day when I showed religion as the center of all. I mean, that's really what it's all about, is to silence the messenger or God's, people doing God's work, or Jesus, or whatever you call it, some spiritual force. So this issue is of utmost seriousness and importance. Yet people go about this issue like Giggles the Clown, as they are brainwashed by the system into giving their rights away, or all their information away. Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's propaganda minister, would be proud of you, my boy or girl. It's it's like Nazi Germany all over again. But instead of some Gestapo agent asking for your ID, remember the police in this country have been given the right where this right where the problem is stopping someone without justification has become the norm. The first thing cops usually do, besides say you were going 65 in a 55 zone, is let us see your ID. We can all understand that for a traffic stop, kind of, but this stopping people has gotten kind of epidemic. I don't know what you say. There's a lot of people that should be stopped. I gotta agree, But that's where all these over 2 million people in prison came from, is that technique. That technique changed law enforcement. And I realize that there are a lot of people doing dumbass crap, and there's just some people that do little drugs, and they're getting stopped and thrown in prison. So, some of these people aren't that bad, either. So it's creating a big prison culture. That's what this is doing, and it's really like Nazi Germany, because that's what they say. When you had to have an ID and you get arrested and everything. It's almost like the next step. It's pretty close. So anyway, yeah. So people are now you donate your information, and ha. You just sold your freedom away. People are just think this is funny, or this is the way. To mess things up, really. It's messing things up. Donating all this stuff. So Hitler, my boy, girl, would be proud of you. And probably in many cases the cops are right, as they, like everyone else, to know who is the troublemaker and who is not. And there are many wackos out there bent on doing harm. But like Miranda writes, it prevents cops from becoming judge, jury, and executioner, picking whoever they want to stop as part of a political seeding program. Yeah, that's that's part of a political seeding program, that they could pick on people that they think are one way, or you could tell what a lot of people are like without even knowing them. So it's like political, picking on somebody that is not your political venue. Things in the USA would have been better if people all did a freeze frame and left things more like they were, the way they were, like YouTube Barbra Streisand. that song that she used to sing. But I don't know. I hate to say that because I mean, like, I just hated the old way. It was very rotten, and it was very rotten and abrasive. However, I like to say this 1984 world we live in it's scary to go any place when somebody's going to be. It really is. When you got the cops, you got to be afraid of. It used to be just crooks, right? And now you got to be afraid of the crooks and the cops. It makes it tough. Actually, there's my lawsuit. Hey, I can't move around because you got all this goofy crap going around. I'm not going to risk going some places where something could happen. So it really narrows down what I can do and probably others. So anyway, I am no way supporting any such behaviors, but things were probably better when no one had paid attention to sexual predators, racism, trans interspans sexual behaviors, whatever that is. I don't know. I heard pansexual. I heard that a little while back. I didn't even know what the hell that was. So, etc. All these things. I'm not advocating returning to these prehistoric times, but the truth of the matter is that the pressures induced by all these new policies, all converging at once, has caused so much damage as tensions get ramped up on all sides to where the cure becomes a newer and much more dangerous problem. And that is the system's goal, to create enormous pressures, which in turn highly stressed, highly, and I stress the word highly, it highly raises the probability that Jesus' successor, who is alive today, will get knocked off. So what seems to be some trivial issue is instead a matter of grave concern, and now for now and the future of the human race. Yeah, that's in addition. We're not only converging all this stuff, but those law things converge on so many pressures that cause these bizarre behaviors. It really does. It doesn't cause them. It greatly helps. It's just like guns. Guns, drugs. They can't kill or they can't harm. But they can raise the probability of some being harmed. That it does. But it's up to people. Do something about this and try to help quell this and do it in a manner that's, we're going again over and over and over, where you start going one way and then they're bipolar and going the other way. Like, once you start rooting for the criminals, then the other time you're rooting for the cops, and then, the criminals become the underdog, you're rooting for them. Then the cops become the underdog, you're rooting for them. And this crap, this polar crap, and that's why it almost it affects a lot of people like myself, because you're in the middle, of all this crap. So, the next topic here is called, What Are You Talking About? That went out of business years ago. One of the greatest movies of all time is Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life. In the movie, George Bailey's, the movie main character, his guardian angel gives him the gift of seeing what the world will be like without him. So at one point, he's at his family's old business, now long defunct, and he says, and this is when his angel show him what he would be like if he was dead, and he says, "Where's the Baling building alone?" And the cop on the spot says, "The Baling building and what? That went out of business years ago." So what is the point of this story? The point is the moving of organizations, information, and other people around is again part of a Nazi-like cover-up that to bury past illegal and other misdeeds. It would be a worthy sentiment if it was justified. However, it is not. What I mean by justified is doing it for some good cause, and it has brought back the old haunts of Nazism. More importantly, this technique of pretending like certain things of the past didn't happen or exist is constantly using against people like myself, and most likely whoever is Jesus' successor. I still remember this place or that person, and it is, oh no, I don't remember that at all, says the other person, with what appears to be a lapse in long-term memory. Yeah, this happens to me all the time. Stuff is going on, and then they change everything around. They say, what are you talking about? We're in progress of doing that right now, I guess, with this new election. We're in progress right now. That's what's happening. They're forgetting that if organizations they are dealing with had the same lapse in memory when it comes to some important matter, then they would be crying to the hilt. Yeah, if they went down to some place where they have to do like some organization they really depend on, they just said, well, what are you talking about? If they did that to them, boy, they'd be crying out the hill and be trying to go on TV and saying, oh my God, I got gypped. And, well, it's a sad story, but that's the way it is. Because you got all these people crying on TV, but yeah, well, how do they act in the real life, So and this next topic is extremely important. Don't be the one is the topic. This system, left, right, and center, and a mixture in between, is ramping up all the pressures. Why is the key question? But the bottom line is to create so many pressures that in the mayhem, Jesus' successor will get knocked off, giving the Antichrist a victory in this world. The time period is now. And there are many that fantasize about being the one, like, quote unquote, the one, being the one to actually knock off the messenger, not realizing the consequences. As a messenger is no ordinary Joe or Josephine the plumber, but has unlimited power, not necessarily on earth, but after the smoke clears. I am sorry to inform you that the consequences of doing so, killing a messenger and ditto for his people, just like they did to Jesus, will be one of infinite pain and for an infinite time span. Unfortunately, what happens is that these pressures are being created on an international scale, and it is like a game of musical chairs, where the person with no chairs is the one given the choice. It's either you do something harmful to this new messenger, or else you get blacklisted or other quite unreasonable consequence. I understand this completely. It has happened to me many times to where your support crew is swept out from under yourself, or someone becomes a Benedict Arnold. But those thinking about killing Jesus' successor fail to realize the alternative punishment by God, which is being punished on a universal or more time scale. Well, the message is clear. Don't be the one. And that's this topic is right here. Don't be the one to do the harming. As if there are no takers, and there is nothing that can be done. And that's what has to happen in this world. Somebody wants you to do something, then hey, no. And then you get a wave of people going where, people always say, oh, I hear this line so many times, it's so irritating, that you hear this line, oh, the world's could never change. No, it isn't. Bullshit. You just change the same pattern of behavior. Every time somebody asks you to do something stupid like that, you say no. Or you get into their, you get against them, you do stuff. So if everybody kept doing that, things would be solved in no time. That's what it takes. But people are just they're too passive when it comes to that. They won't do anything. So let's see here. We're at So like I said, if yeah, there are no takers, nothing can be done, and that's what the system needs to do when someone comes up with an idiotic idea to harm the messenger or other important person. As an important cog of the wheel of things, then no one carries out the deed. Actually, there could be non-religious people that are important in the cog of things too. I mean, because that could be important. So with no Indians and no chiefs can carry out, with no Indians and thus no chiefs can carry out infinitely stupid plans. So when someone entices you to carry out a harmful deed, that will surely bring you to your destruction. Then when somebody comes and entices you to carry out a harmful deed, that will surely bring you to your destruction. Then you look at them and say what or huh, and walk away, ignoring them. And that way, an entire chain reaction will start to where no one will be doing this idiotic behavior and deal with all other problems. Yeah, I don't get it. People could easily do that. Just turn it all the way around. You can get a society perpetuating where everything is like that, and then there won't be no turning back, But, like I said, there's people fantasizing they're going to bump off a messenger just like they did Jesus, and they're so wrong because you didn't even get a chance with Jesus. People thought that was just some kind of sacrifice. It really wasn't. That was setting up this world for punishment, I mean, because God must think people are like a moron or something if they're going to bump off some person that is predicted to come 800 or more years before they're here, and that person comes. I always use this example. I mean, people need to examine their head again. They need to do it. I mean, how could somebody be predicted to come, and this Antichrist too, the same thing, predicted to come, and they know that when he's coming and all this stuff. And they know the Antichrist is too, so it's bullshit that they don't. And that's why Europe is lucky it hasn't been nuked or something, because, and that's why all these white people go around and support this stuff, because it's not a racial thing, but because the people are white. I don't know why God keeps choosing people that are white, but that's the way it is. Maybe it's just to see if they're going to, another test. They're going to see they're going to start with this white supremacy thing. Maybe it's just a test. This thing is, people think that you can do that, and it's not. I mean, I've had people do that, to me, where you try to start stuff too, so I can understand the phenomenon, like what Jesus and these other people go through. Because you say one little thing to them, and then all of a sudden they want to start fighting. You start a fight, they got everything aligned to where you'll be in jail or some nut house or something, And it's very frustrating when you got to constantly be on your tippy toes. But I mean, everybody has to be like that nowadays, kind of. It's very political world. And so, on that note, like I said, this "don't be the one" thing is of utmost importance. Some things in my presentations are of importance, but this is really of big importance. And that way, when you get there, I can rest easy at night when you solve this problem, because it sets off a chain reaction, a whole chain reaction of mass killings and all this other stuff. That's what that sets off in motion. Because people, this is their last chance. We're talking about what God's talking about. Yeah, you could, people in this world could send you to prison or some other institution, and they can torture you. But it's only one life. I mean, God is talking about, actually worse. It's not writing you out of the next 13.4 billion years or whatever the universe is, but writing you into it in rules that like these people that got thrown in lions in the Colosseum. What if you're one of these people? If you're born, if somebody has the power if they don't have the power of putting a spirit in your body, then I guess that you won. The people that don't believe have won. However, if there is a way to do it, then people's ass are in trouble. I mean, people assume that this stuff is crazy, but one of the most amazing and stupidly simple things in all of science is probably like the number one thing, is like this, it's called the double slit experiment, and it shows you just how weird things are. So anybody that says that you could write religion off is wrong, because if weird stuff like that can happen, then anything is possible. And what this double slit experiment is this is like, it's so stupid. It's ridiculous. You get these two slits right here, and if you shine a light going through there, and these two slits, and it comes back on this wall. Now, when they're not trying to detect it, this wave here of light goes through the slits. You got one here, and you got one, here. And when they go through these slits, they form like, these patterns, like this, And so something happens where they intertwine with each other, and you can't really tell, or you lose information off of it, because either you know where it hit here, or you can't tell, or if you don't know where it's going to hit, you can tell how fast it's traveling, like. And these slits, it happens when there's like an atom, or like a real, these have to be real tiny slits. I mean, as small as like this wave, light is extremely small. But the weird thing about it is, then, all right, you're not looking at it and it does that, right? But once you start looking at it, then you get it as if, you get these like you would expect, you would expect the light to go here, and this would go, it should be actually drawn over here a little bit, but you'd expect the light to go there and form these lumps, because this is where it comes straight here. This is the most concentrated area. That's what you'd expect. So that's weird. Why is that changing, And the weird thing is, it's still a matter of conjecture. That nobody's figured it out yet, to my knowledge, that, like, in order to do this behavior, like, if you have just one, instead of all these, you got one, one wave of light or atoms or whatever, and you go through a slit, it actually, it goes through, both slits like at the same time, and that's weird. It's just weird. How can it be doing that, How could one, it's like throwing a baseball and it going through both slits at the same time. So that's so strange, it's hard to believe, but yet it happens. So how could people not believe in religion, or what that is possible? I'm not saying this argument proves anything. However, it does show that life is really weird, a lot weirder than we ever thought. And what's really weird is nowadays they've come up with these, all right, so you think this is real small or something, but they come up with these atoms, like 1,000 atoms all stuck together, and they're getting the same pattern. They're getting this this same wave, wavy pattern that it's called interference. This wave is interfering with itself. Now, how the hell is it doing that? I mean, how could a big atom, 1,000 atoms wide, be going through a slit like that? I mean, you might expect that light would do it, but an atom like that big? I mean, that doesn't even make that doesn't make any sense. That's impossible to, and that's what suggested that supposedly things like this exist all at the same time or something. That's like saying that, when we walk through a double door like that, are we walking through both of them at the same time? Yeah, that's one other thing I forgot to mention. When you look at the particle going through, you're watching these slits. Either the particle goes through there and you see just one here, and the other one doesn't come through, or you see it coming through here and the other one doesn't come through. So that's where it gets weird, is that how does the particle determine like ahead of time when you're looking at it? I mean, that you're determining its fate or what? You're determining when you look at it, it comes into one or the other, but doesn't come in both. So it acts like a baseball going through there. When you're not looking at it, it's this wavy thing, and it's just amazing. It's fascinating. And my discussions is like, this is like waves are like the spiritual. That's what like the spiritual part of our life. So I'll get into that later on into the presentations here. But that's what that's like. And one more thing, getting off of all these scientific thing here. Another thing I want to discuss too is, and it has to do with this don't be a one and the messenger thing. All that is, we're getting, this world has become like a vice. Here's the jaws of the vice right here. These, right here and there. And there's the, like, middle class. And then here's, like, the poor. And then you got this here, and this here is all this drugs and all this stuff. Drugs, crooks, pressures, and then on this side you got like this law enforcement. Law enforcement, legal stuff, crap, jobs, not Steve Jobs, but work jobs. And you got this constantly is this pushing and pushing. We're getting to the point, it's critical here. It's squeezing, this is squeezing where this, the middle class and poor are here now, and it's squeezing things tighter and tighter. I mean, this is a trend that has to stop. And this middle class crap I hear sometimes about these middle class people think that they work and they're entitled to some kind of extra set of rights, which infuriates me. And it's the left wing crap with this middle class. We have to get out of this habit where we treat these groups like they're something special. I mean, we're all the same crap here, I mean, that is they do as much damn. They help these rich people, really, is what they do, because with that they're just like creating problems that help the rich. So we're getting this constant, it's taking our rights away, like little by little. Drugs allow law enforcement and other legal things to implement, warrantless, I don't know how you spell it, warrantless actions, here, and this is squeezing, so these all play off each other, and you got these two levels. You got these two levels that are constantly being using each other. You go through this fruity crap on TV. Oh my God, my hero! And anybody considered any kind of authoritative thing is a hero. We hear that so often. It is so annoying. And a lot of people are not really hero and are taking bribes and everything else. So this crazy stuff with this hero thing is gotten hypercritical. I mean, I'm not saying that some of them are heroes in my mind, but prove it. What are we talking about? There's uses blanket statements that everybody's a hero that's in a certain profession or something, and and they're using this drugs and crooks and thing to ramp up all this pressure. So the good people are all getting squeezed. This is something that's got to stop. I don't know how you stop it. It's so rampant. You can't. I know, because if I mention something like that, I don't do drugs or something, oh my God. The cop will look at me like, uh-oh, you just signed your death warrant. Really, they're out for this drug shit. It's really bad. It's really bad that this is, and this whole, California corridor, that's what all this marijuana and all that stuff, we're creating a new monster, is state-run drugs, like this marijuana sounds like a good idea, but now you even got like the state involved on one side, and they're going to make it expensive, because you go like to those drug dispensary things and you get this marijuana, it's like $80 a bag or something, So you're just creating a new, so really it didn't affect like Mexico or everything. It helped them. Like they're going to have this, they could beat these prices by a mile. So, they're probably smiling all the way, because, that's probably helping, and it's creating this huge thing where people just want to sit at home and smoke marijuana all day. Marijuana is probably okay, but when it gets to the point of that's what you live for, it's because trying to escape reality. That's really what it is. Yeah. So marijuana could be a problem, because you're trying to escape reality, because it's harsh reality. I'm not blaming anybody for that. It is a harsh reality, and people want to escape from it, and that's one way to do it. But I think sometimes it gets way overboard. Like in fact, really, I was the one that said a long time ago to legalize it probably be a good idea. And now I'm having some doubts what the outcome is going to be. So we'll have to see on that thing. And one of the really weird things about marijuana is that nobody's ever died from it, and most things, maybe even people died from eating salt. Or drinking too much water. And that's really weird. That's hard to believe. I'm not sticking up for the thing, but that's weird. But I think it's kind of a drug. But whether natural or not, but anyway, there's certain individuals that actually need it. These type A+3 personalities, there are some homeless people around that actually really need it, actually. So in that case, it's a different story. So this thing is killing us. And I don't know how you solve it. If you make the drugs legal, then everybody's going to be stoned. You make it illegal, you got all these people in prison and all this other crap. I don't know. I thought a solution might be to make it all legal and then make it so cheap that you think maybe people would eventually get over because they're not making any money off of it. Because that's where it is, all the money. When you make something illegal, it keeps giving. It's even worse. There's prohibition. That's why people wrote prohibition. But I'm having my doubts with this marijuana thing. I'm not sure. Are people going to go over? Maybe after a while, they'll get over it and say, "What the hell?" If marijuana was 5 cents a thing, well, then they might be doing even more. So I don't know. So that about rounds it up for this topic here. I did have something else to say, but I guess I'll probably have to, unless I think of it in the next few seconds, I'm going to call it quits here for this set of topics. That I'm started on the topics now. It's starting to get a little more exciting here. So that's it, and I hope people enjoyed my video. And like I said, hang in there. Now we're on the topic part, which I said to hang in there to try to get to more topics. And I hope I can get better. See, I wish I could do this better, but I'm under duress. There's a lot of things happening, and I'm just going with what I got, my ghetto board. And I'm not going to spend a lot of money, like I said before, because, this thing probably won't take off anyhow, or I'll have to take off anyhow, or I don't know what's happening here in the future here, so really I don't know. So either way, stay or go, or whatever, all this crap is hitting the fan, and new presidency and all this shit is going to start up something new, so so that's it. Please stay tuned for more of my videos, and I know this is great because it's like a load off my chest. I love to do stuff like this, so I love to try to put some positive input into the world, even if it doesn't have any. It's still my my forte, so remember that all this shit is coming at you, and we're at this times, and I got my own image at the end and shows how things are going to be coming at you. Have a great day, and hopefully see you next time. Thank you.
This image represents all the crap coming at you. The average person these days has their plate full. COVID-19, climate change, a new countrywide arms race, oppressive organizations, the Antichrist has returned, and citizens run amok. And there is even more logs on the fire than ever before. The time for reform is now. All of humankind is at the precipice called Armageddon. Missing the boat on this one is not an option. Stay tuned for more of the only realistic unmasking of the world as to how it really operates, and for more real solutions to all the world's problems once and for all. So again, stay tuned as our Cape Crusaders in this world get unmasked one by one. But can the world survive without unknown do-gooders? This is the System Unmasked channel signing off until next time, at the same bad channel, at the same bad time.